we continually read that we see metal being pulled out of SLV and GLD and other ETFs. In fact, I think Ted talked about just the other day about a good number of gold ounces being taken out of the gold ETF just this last week. So I think they're doing whatever they can to take as much metal away from the market before the market realizes what's going on. And this is why they can't let the price go too high, too fast. They cut off their nose to spite their face. They're milking it methodically from the hands of anyone who's dumb enough to sell it at these levels. They're exhausting every avenue they can to pry metal from the market before it is exposed for its real value.
Miles Franklin President Andy Schectman and many other metals analysts have been talking about metals price manipulation for years, as evidenced by thousands of videos, tweets, and articles on the subject. According to several credible sources, including the $1 billion fine levied against JP Morgan for spoofing the metals market, commercial banks are at the very center of this constant shorting of metals to keep prices down. They constantly throw the weight of their large balance sheet behind very questionable trading practices. Over the past few months, the warnings about price manipulation have become even more urgent because the manipulators are quickly intensifying their efforts. According to Andy Schectman, it's always darkest just before dawn. The renowned bullion dealer and analyst explains that there is a direct connection between price manipulation by commercial banks and money managers and mass central bank accumulation. While the apex banks are buying up hundreds of tons of gold and silver monthly, commercial banks are facilitating their purchases by keeping prices down with their billion-dollar shorts. However, Andy believes all of that is about to end. According to the Miles Franklin President, all of these shady activities are about to end, and when they do, metals like silver and gold will be free to express their true prices. To back up his claims, Andy points out the inventories of metals exchanges and how quickly metals like silver are getting depleted. For example, the Shanghai Gold Exchange released its silver inventory report for last week. According to the report, the exchange's silver inventory reduced by 25,065 kilograms in that single week, dropping the inventory to its lowest point since 2020. Another chart shared by a popular Chinese metals analyst on Twitter also reveals a 19,287-ton depletion in the silver vaults at the Shanghai Futures Exchange, also a new low since the silver squeeze in 2020. We will now bring you clips from Andy's latest interview with Arcadia Economics. Please watch, share, and like this video. Also, ensure you subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications bell, and don't forget to drop your comments and observations in the comments section below. Thanks, and enjoy the video.
You know, you mentioned that labor report. Yeah, the labor report came in much better than had been anticipated. I don't know, adding somewhere like 1 million jobs or whatever the number was, or 336,000 in September, right? But you go back and look over the last 3 months, we've lost 692,000 full-time jobs. So part-time has increased by 1.2 million since June, but you're losing for every one new job that you're gaining as a part-time job, you're losing almost one that is full-time. It's not something that should be celebrated for sure. And look, as far as the traders are concerned, that is the truth of it. The truth of it is that we can talk about fundamentals all day long. Yes, and at some point, the supply and demand physical fundamentals will come into play. But I think they'll come into play in a different way than most people think I'm hedging at. And that is that when the commercial banks, I believe, decide it's time to blow up the money managers and really do it in this environment where, according to Ted Butler, we have massive massive shortage rather in available silver on the COMEX platform. And you see, as you mentioned, that we see a big price rise as the commercial banks go long and the managed money have been hoodwinked into going short and to selling their longs to the commercials at subsidized prices. One of these days, and I think this is Ted Butler's contention as well, that the big commercial banks will not short the rising market. And that's really what they've done all of these years, which is counterintuitive, right? You're supposed to short a falling market if you want to pile on and make bigger profits. If you short the rising market, you better have deep pockets or know the playbook or both. And that's what's so unusual about the way the commercial banks short this market. They suck in the speculation. After they go short and lose everything, then they go long. When the prices are low, the commercials take the other side. They let the price rise. And as the price is rising, the commercials start to short the rising price. One of these days, they won't do that. They won't short the rising price, and it will just start to run away, creating a massive short squeeze. And the question is, where do these institutions get the silver? And I think that is probably a problem that Bear Stearns faced back in 2008. But I digress. The point of it is that, yeah, I think, Ted is right on a lot of levels. And until they stop shorting the market on a rising price, I think it's just going to be more of the same. And maybe this is the beginning. Fundamentals would sure as hell say it ought to be, because I certainly wouldn't want to be naked short in this market. I don't know about you. Well, number one, he talks about there being a baseline level where they're just not able to go below. I think that's one of the ways they're doing it. They've tried exchange for physical. They've drained the exchanges as much as they could. You breach a level that loses all confidence. I think that's what Ted means by this baseline level. And they've done the exchange for physical, and now they're draining the ETFs in share redemption, which is a much more opaque way of draining the exchanges. But you can see that, that looks to me like you're seeing silver leave. Now, people would say, well, that's just people selling their positions. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. I do know that we continually read that we see metal being pulled out of SLV and GLD and other ETFs. In fact, I think Ted talked about just the other day about a good number of gold ounces being taken out of the gold ETF just this last week.
In his explanation, Andy references the work of Ted Butler, an expert's expert and the founder of Butler Research, a platform dedicated to fundamental expert analysis of the gold and silver markets. Butler has been closely following the depletion of these metals, continuous accumulation by central banks, and the massive shorts from commercial banks and other large institutional investors. According to the metals analyst, managed money pumped billions of dollars into shorts going into this rally. As of last Tuesday, managed money had net short silver positions of $550 million and $5 billion for gold. Andy explains that these money managers are following the path laid by commercial banks, but they will soon be left hanging when commercial banks hit their aim and quickly exit their shorts. Let's get back to the interview as Andy gives a clearer picture of what's really happening.
This has been a long overdue time, and there's war and there's inflation, and why would it not? Why? That's all relevant and that's all true until it's not. And I think if you look closely and you see the amount of central bank purchasing, you see the ETF offtakes. We've seen metal backdoored out of SLV and GLD. We've seen it taken off of the COMEX. We've seen it taken off the LBMA. There reaches a point where they have to keep trying to find other solutions. Look, they're doing it off the Shanghai Metal Exchange as well. Record low in silver, if I'm not mistaken, some of the largest offtakes in silver ever recently off the Shanghai Exchange. So they're exhausting every avenue they can to pry metal from the market before it is exposed for its real value, a strategic value, not an industrial value or a monetary value, but a strategic value. And I think that's exactly what's happening. They are misdirecting as the art of war. We've talked about this for years, you and I. This is classic misdirection. And, the bigger question is, why have they held it down for so long? What's the reason that they have such a concentrated short position? And then take a step back from there and understand why they are letting it act this way. So the public, with all of this money, has no idea where to put it. And gold and silver being such an amazing place to put it at these levels and with the geopolitical environment, and they're just blind to it because the banks are pretty damn good at creating a perception of reality. So I think you have to trust your gut, and that's the most honest answer I can give. Let's just play conspiracy for 1 second. And let's just say you're the Western markets, you're the US government, and you withhold silver eagles for years, create massive premiums because you're stockpiling silver. You realize it's strategic. You realize that you need it. You realize that you're in military applications and green and digital applications, all these aspirations of green world and whatever, you need the silver and we don't have it. So let's devise a way to get as much as we can. And maybe the US is part of this too. Maybe the US government is hoarding silver and using the commercial banks and their ability to control the price, keep it in a level, to create volatility through levered futures contracts, and to keep it not violating these moving averages. Like when gold just shot up, it just came up to the 200-day and came down. Now, that's technical analysis 101. It was not confirmed they're going to sell that. So the traders aren't going to buy that right now. You play that market if you're a swing trader, but you don't if you're a hedge fund or whatnot. If it's violating, if it's not confirming, you're not going to buy that. So they keep it within range bound within these levels. They violate moving averages. They do things counterintuitively with price in a conspiratorial world where a lot of these things where there's a very fine line between conspiracy and reality. Whoever is doing this, maybe they're doing it now. It wasn't always this way, but maybe now they're doing it because they realize they're at the 12th hour and they don't have enough silver in our strategic stockpile. So they're finding a way to keep the price at a level that makes everyone quite disinterested and allows them at prices very, very unfair to the producers of the silver, to the holders of silver, and to the real world value of silver, are buying it and stockpiling it as maybe a last ditch chance to do so before it truly expresses itself in dollar prices. Because remember, you look at gold, it's at all-time highs in most of the currencies around the world, not silver yet, but gold is. And what happens when the dollar really tanks? That's, if they're not already pre-positioned to that moment, well, good luck. So look, yeah, I know that's conspiracy, that's conjecture. I get it, but you have to try and start to figure things out. Like, why the hell are they allowed to be so concentrated short? Why are all these things happening that are just counterintuitive?
We must begin to ask ourselves these questions, and maybe we are going to realize that there is at least a drop of reality in the so-called conspiracy theories. Please share your thoughts on Andy's interview and his outlook on gold and silver. If you are yet to do so, also ensure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.